And that is my Z8. Hi, I'm Mark and welcome. I've been reading a lot or watching on YouTube and other video platforms these so-called rumours regarding the Z8. Now, I've looked all over Nikon's corporation's website, Nikon Japan, Nikon Europe, Nikon UK and Ireland, and Nikon USA, and I can't find one mention of a Z8. So, for truth purposes, and that is an opinion, truth is, does the Z8 even exist? Will it exist? Is it a figment of our imagination? But if there was going to be a Z8, this video is all about what I would like the Z8 to be. Now, I've been a Nikon user full-time as a commercial photographer for over 30 years. And I'm too old and grumpy to change and relearn other manufacturers' user interfaces and put that into muscle memory. So I've been waiting a long time for the Z series to come out, and I've been a Z user now for about 4 years. I had the Nikon 1's mirrorless cameras and I loved those, but they weren't the product for the commercial marketplace. But I absolutely love the Z series, so I'm biased. I own most of the Z series cameras. Where would a Z8, if a Z8 ever came to market, where would it fit? Now, bear with me. I was fortunate some years ago to be invited to a symposium where Steve Jobs was the guest speaker. And at the end of his lecture, he took some questions from the audience. And one question was about his business model. And after his very thoughtful, yeah, okay, I understand what you're saying, this is my response. His reply was, most businesses fail because of their research. The product is not there or it's not required. So what he did in his business model, he looked at a current problem and solved that problem. So he was already at 50% success. The problem existed, let's fulfill that problem. He didn't need to create a desire, a need, a want for that problem. The problem was already there. He didn't want to create a problem. So we all know where the iPhone is today, and with Moore's law, he knew that microprocessors would get 1.5 times faster each calendar year. The problem with the legacy mobile phones, they were a mechanical device. They had a keyboard. So he created the iPhone where it could be upgraded, improved by software. Okay, glass screen, tactile, and it could be improved year upon year upon year. So where does the Z8 fit into that philosophy? Don't create a product that's already there. Create a product that a need is there already. So let's take the cameras that I already own today. So Z30, lovely little camera designed for people that want to take better images from a smartphone. They are not used to a viewfinder. They want to vlog, selfies, web camera, which is what I use mine mainly for because I can control the depth of field. And they're not used to a eyepiece. They're used to a screen. That's what a Z30 is for. Total user control and upping the game of their content creation because they're using a camera rather than a smartphone. Z50, great hobbyist, enthusiast camera that just wants that little bit more than what the Z30, or basically it's the same camera as well, but it has a viewfinder and some other functionalities, although it's an older legacy model. I love my Z50. It's the camera that if I want just a slightly smaller form factor, will go with me everywhere. I don't own a ZFC, so because it's the same camera basically. Z5, that is the entrance to full frame. If you have this point of view in your head of a particular frame, 24mm, it looks like this, full frame from the film days, that's your entry point. I own a Z5, that is my camera that sits by my door and goes with me every time I walk out the door. Why? Because I can control that camera with a 50mm 1.8 on the end and take lovely photographs, and it's muscle memory. I'm practicing my craft every single day, so it goes with me at a reasonable price point. It goes with me every single day, and I take images with that. Z6 II, what's that designed for? Well, it's low light and videography, basically, in my opinion. Made to a $2,000 price point, body only. Great for video, great for low light. Z7 II, seasoned photographer, somebody that wants more detail, more dynamic range, 4K video, 45 megapixel, in the same form factor as the 5 and the 6. And then we move on to the Z9, their current flagship. Superb camera, absolutely love mine. Photojournalism, sports, wildlife, action, and everything underneath that. Price point, $5,500, bargain. Flagship market leader. So where does the Z8 fit into that product range and marketplace? Well, there's a few things that the Z8 doesn't have. Now, the Z9 doesn't have. Back in May 2020, I recall, and I did check before the video, it's still up online at Nikon Rumours, very reputable rumours site, anything Nikon. There was a blog post about sensor size for the Z mount. Now, from memory, I will stand corrected, so I apologise if I'm wrong, the aperture on a Z mount is 55, 56 millimeters, something like that. And somebody did a blog post, or they did a blog post about sensor size, and that the Z mount will just take a 645 sensor. You're now making a product that fits a requirement, a medium format in a form factor of mirrorless, perhaps a third bigger than a Z7 and a third smaller than a Z9, so in that sweet spot in the between. If you've got large hands like me, the whole camera, you can hold it in the whole hand, your little pinky's not sticking out the end. And you've got the space so you don't get overheating, because there's extra space for the heat to dissipate from unlimited video recording. But you're now creating a product that there's very little competition. It's new in the marketplace, so it's new to Nikon. A medium format Z8 mirrorless camera. Now that's something that's interesting very much to me. So what would that specification be? So we're looking at 100 megapixels, 15 stops of dynamic range, 8K video. Interested? And what's the competition? Well, we have the Fuji GFX and the new Hasselblad, I think it's called the HD2. Or is it XD2? XD2, sorry, XD2. Hasselblad XD2. 15 stops of range, 100 megapixels. I think the Hasselblad has got an internal 1 terabyte storage. Very interesting. But if we stick to the Z8 medium format sensor, 645, 100 megapixels, as a stills photographer, what would I want? At least 15 stops of dynamic range compared to the Z7 II, which is about 12 stops of dynamic range. So therefore, you're creating a desire, a need, a want to upgrade from the Z7. You're offering something that Canon, for example, doesn't offer. Very interesting that is. So for videographers, what would the Z8 be? Let's take currently what's in the Z9, because that's what I think will come down. Frame rates, 24 frames to 120 frames, all in 8K, unlimited RAW, internal recording. Everyone will be happy with that. It's obviously going to work with the MC-N10, I think it is, which is the remote that goes on the arm on the tripod. So you can control the Z8 from on your camera. You throw a focus and your focus point and everything and so on. So you can control that from that control unit. Niceties. Shutter. Okay, so let's go back to Steve Jobs. His upgrade wasn't upgrade in the hardware, it's upgrade in the software for functionality. And Nikon's embraced that concept with the Z9. We've just had the flicker frequency problem resolved by micro adjusting your shutter speed. And that's been done by firmware. They've increased several times, or improved several times, the focusing. The focusing's a lot more stickier now on the face. Excuse me. So the upgrade has been done by firmware rather than hardware. So shutter. I'd much rather have a camera that is upgradable by firmware rather than hardware. So I know the benefits of mechanical shutters, but I think that day has gone. So no mechanical shutter. Focusing system from the Z9, obviously. 2CF Express Type B card slots with the locking door, please, Nikon, just like you've done on the Z9. Frame rate. I think you're going to be looking at about 14 frames per second, maybe with the optional battery pack with the additional function FN3 button on there, as well as two shutter buttons and 2 joysticks. You might be able to boost that to 16 frames in RAW. And then obviously with the hot swapping, so like the Z7 battery packs, you can hot swap the batteries. So yes, you can USB-C continuously charge via a battery pack, but that hot swapping, so if you're out on location doing astrophotography, you can take one battery out while the involumeter is still working, put a new battery in, take the other battery, and so on, etc. So it's constantly powered. So yes, optional battery pack, two drawers, 2 trays, so you can swap out the battery. Love the Kensington lock, yes please. Kensington lock, love it on the lenses, love it on the Z9. Obviously onboard Wi-Fi, Bluetooth and GPS. So that's what I think my Z8 would be. No mechanical shutter, medium format sensor, 100 megapixels, 15 stops of dynamic range, 14 frames per second in RAW, internal recording RAW for video, 24 to 120, 8K, unlimited recording. Now let's say they went for full frame rather than medium format. How are you going to, as a business point of view, entice the Z7 user to upgrade to a Z8? And what new are you going to offer to the market generically? Well, the Z8 could be a 60 to 70 megapixel camera. That obviously is 50% more than a Z9 or a Z7 II. So that would entice, but it's not a very big entice for a Z7 enthusiast. A seasoned photographer and somebody that earns their living from it, and videographers, yes. But we're talking about mass market, worldwide mass market. So I would prefer medium format, but I'm not against a full frame. So what price point? Well, the Z7 II is $3,000 US, and the Z9 is, I think, around about $5,500 US. So I'm looking at around about $4,000, $4,500 US. At price point, that seems fair, reasonable all the way around. And then for announcement and availability, well, from a commercial point of view and for brand loyalty, I really believe that Nikon needs to fulfill the orders of the Z9 that they currently have and put the Z9 on the shelf so I can walk in and buy another one tomorrow. If they can't keep up with production of the Z9, how are they going to physically make a Z8? Okay, there isn't enough production lines. So I'm sorry to say, I think you're going to be, generally, it's going to be late 2023 to most of us has got a Z8, if there's going to be a Z8 in our hands. There will obviously be the ambassadors and the early adopters and the NPS of the world that will have it sooner, but I think we're a good year away before a Z8 is on the marketplace. So that's my thoughts. Now, in the words of the Canadian clinical psychologist, Professor Jordan B. Peterson, when you have a conversation with somebody, consider the people that you're talking with or to. They may know something about the subject that you don't. Consider their opinion. Consider that they're a part of the conversation. Consider their point of view. So, with that on board, why not leave me a comment? Do you think I'm way off the mark with my Z8? Do you think I'm on topic? Do you think as a product, medium format, 100 megapixels, 8K internal RAW saving, 24-120 videography, do you think that's about right and a unique product? Why not leave me a comment? Tell me your thoughts and I'll try and get back to you. Now, if you like this content, it's only my points of view, why not subscribe? Give me a thumbs up. And just by the side of me is my playlist for my Lightroom Classic quick tips, which you might like to check out. Thanks for your time. Stay safe. Keep taking photos. All the best for now.